I will start by saying that the glass is half full. The fact that we're sitting here and we're not watching over our heads speaks volumes. Um, really, I like to make it simple from a layman's perspective. Transitional justice, you are transitioning somewhere, you're coming from somewhere. Where did we come from? An era of massive systematic abuse of human rights, repressive regime. Where do you want to go? You want to confront the legacy of human rights abuses. And I think we've already confronted that. What the truth-seeking process and now the justice accountability mechanism being put in place has even it hasn't really started in a very big way has addressed some of those abuses in terms of it's not a way of doing business anymore. Today, the police, even when they abuse, they deny it, right? I mean, many times they say we didn't do it or they hide. So that sense of impunity is no longer here. It's not acceptable. And in that sense, we can say never again. Of course, there are lapses, and we cannot listen on our lawyers. Now, at the center of, in my opinion, when you talk about TJ, personal justice, you have different elements. Of course, you have the truth-seeking, reconciliation, reparation. We also have justice, which is at the center of it. You cannot move. You cannot have a society without justice. You cannot have peace without justice. And of course, justice is not only in the courtroom, even though that's what we're looking at. How do you make sure that those who committed massive abuse or human abuse are held accountable through the criminal justice system? In the Gambia, I think we have one of the best systems in the world now. We've learned from other systems. We've learned to have a system that is as global as possible and as international as needed. So our slogan is as Gambian as possible and as international as needed. So we own it. We own it, built it, and leverage the international best practices and resources where the local aspect is not enough. For the system we built, for example, the SAMS, the special economic mechanism, you have a domestic element that has never happened before, where you create domestic courts that are only dealing with TRC crimes that can be prosecuted from the Gambian law. Then, at another area, you have built an internationalized tribunal that can look at both domestic and international crimes. So, and that system was designed to make sure that it is cost effective. So, you only go international when it's one of the best forum and it makes sense. So, and the Gambia system is like we've been looked at around the world because these tribunals are very, very expensive and it's sort of like fatigue. They're not fatigue. And also, there's this sense that why is it Africa when we have our issues? We have our leaders, our dictators who abuse our rights, and then you go to Hague to deal with it. So the system is bringing justice close to home or at home, so that victims can participate. I mean, look at all those cases that happen in Germany, Switzerland, and America. Only a handful of people, journalists and victims, are able to attend. But the mere fact that a perpetrator is being tried in the Gambia, and the victims and their families in the community can come and watch, that has a lot of value. And that is the system that's designed in Gambia. Is it perfect? No. I mean, there are areas where I still think that we could have done better in hindsight. I think the over-reliance on foreign donor funding is problematic. Now we've seen what's happening with Trump 2.0. If our governments have political will, in the true sense of the word, they'll write the checks. Because anything that they're really they have interest in, they write the checks. We pay our taxes. We pay about 25 billion or more. I can flex how much taxes we pay a year. Do we raise the budget? Billion or so, right? I mean, the importance of this process should mean that the government should be able to commit significant resources to this cause. But there's always an over-dependence on the donors. So if the donors don't bring the funds, the likelihood of a certain aspect happening sort of dwindle. So I think also if governments, they should show their commitment by putting more resources. I do commit that, as bar president and a member of the committee that deals with this, the Minister of Justice, particularly on leadership of Darul, has been immensely committed and really proactive and really gave the bar a lot of spaces in society and different groups to really partake in design, architecture, and its implementation. But at the end of the day, political will is not at the Ministry of Justice, it's at the cabinet. And I think we can get more from that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.